Hi, Betty. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. I'm so excited. We're back.
We're back, and today we're talking about the power of play. My name is Ellie Knott, and I'm really excited to talk about play today because I am a preschool teacher of 6 years, and I've been working in schools that are primarily play based. So, this is really my bread and butter, and I'm excited to apply it to the world of parenting today. And I'm here with my favorite parenting coach, Betty Artiaga Muriel.
Hi, Ellie. I'm so excited to be here. This is one of the topics that I fell in love with while we were doing our certification. And it's one that I will dare say controversial. Is this topic when I bring it up to other parents, and we're gonna see why. It brings a lot of emotions out and a lot of blocks. So I'm super excited to dig in on why is important, why play is important, and help those parents kind of broaden their love for play.
Definitely. And so we're both parent coaches. We coach parents through the Transformational Parenting Program from the Giant Institute of Parenting. And in this 12-week course, there's an entire week dedicated to play. So today we kind of want to unpack why on earth would a parenting course take an entire week to just learn about play? And there's a lot here. And I think it's going to be more than people might expect. And my journey going through the course, I came from this perspective of like, I'm a preschool teacher and like I set up all these fun play scenarios for my students. I infuse lots of learning into them. But I would kind of be in this place where I'm like, okay, I set it up and now I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to just like supervise and watch them play and just let it all happen. And as I went through the transformational parenting program, I realized, oh, I need to actually get into play with them. Not all the time, but I do need to take the time where I'm actually getting in there with them, getting on their level, and joining them in play. And that was a little bit of a hard pill for me to swallow at first. But it's so, so important. And as a teacher, I recognize that. And I wanted to share a quote from Fred Rogers today. Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for kids or for children, play is serious learning.
Hmm. Yes, I love that quote. I had no idea that I was speaking to my kids in a different language, right? The
Mm-hmm.
play is their language. That's the way they learn. And I had no idea that the school that you teach was play based. So I am even more excited to talk about this topic with you because you have those tools and those games that the parents, that we need to implement at home. And you also know the importance of why, like you mentioned, why do we need to get in there? Play is not just about keeping them entertained,
Mm-hmm.
which at some points, yes, we use it for that, but in which moments and the importance of the parents actually getting in there in the play and playing with them.
Yeah. Yeah. When we as the adults get into our child's play, it creates so much joy and connection. But I'm really excited to also share about that learning piece. So you can understand, like, okay, play is, it's not just for fun. It is. To children, it is. They just see it as fun, but there's so much learning happening, which is why play based learning works. It works so well. And so I want to share just one example that I used in my classroom this year, which was setting up a dramatic play area. And we set it up as a coffee shop.
Mm.
This was super fun and attractive to all of the students because they all go to coffee shops with their parents, right? And they go and
Mhm.
they get to like get a hot chocolate or get a cake pop or, a little treat while mom or dad gets coffee. And they love it. So for this to be brought down to their level, it was really cool for them. Right off the bat, they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Like, when can I get in here?" Um, and just that alone, that takes me to the first skill they're learning, which is social emotional. So, of course, right away, they all want to be the first ones because they're very excited.
Mm.
So, we have to slow down and figure out, okay, how are we going to take turns here? who is going to be the cashier, who is going to be the barista, who's going to be the customers. And we're going to have to get in line to wait for our turn to order our coffee, you know? And when it's pretend, we do get to order coffee, even though we're kids, right? We don't have to just get like the kid, you know, the kid menu things. We get to order all the fun frappuccinos and all the things.
Yes.
So we have our social emotional learning, figuring out how to work together, figuring out how to collaborate and not just fight over the coffee station. Then we have literacy learning. So part of this setup was a menu, like a menu printed out, right? It has the names of the drinks. It also has pictures. And I'm working with 3-year-olds here. So obviously they can't actually read the words. But as they're looking at this menu, they're realizing, oh yeah, right. You'll see them pointing to the letters and like making up a name for the drink based on what the picture looks like. So even though they're not reading, they're starting to connect print to meaning. And this is a really important pre-literacy skill that starts building the desire to learn how to read once they get into pre-K, kindergarten, on and on. Then also on the menu is the prices of the drinks. So now they get to see, right? They know that, you know, mom and dad, they pay money when they go to a store and get something. So they get to see these prices. And some of the children who already know the numbers, they might make up numbers, but they're still recognizing, like seeing that money sign, that means something, right? Or they'll ask me, you know, like, Miss Knott, what is this number? And now it's not me like sitting at circle time, giving a lesson and be like, okay, kids, this is number 5. Like everyone say 5. And this is how the 5 looks. And let's draw the 5. They came to me and they said, what's this number? And now they're going to remember it because they wanted to know. It wasn't me telling them that this is the number that we're learning today. Right.
So true. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very child led. So we have social emotional, we have literacy skills. Now we have math skills. They're looking at those numbers and then they're telling their friends, oh, this drink is $3, you know, and then they'll pretend, whether they're using pretend money or they're just, you know, picking up something random and okay, you know, here's the money. So they're starting to get that understanding of like, this is the back and forth that happens when we go to a store. Which brings me to another skill we're learning, or maybe not a skill, but when children get to play in a scenario like this, the power dynamics are flipping. So think typically when a kid goes to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever, they're with their parents. They probably are told, you know, you need to hold my hand. You need to stay with me. It's loud. It's chaotic. They're just trying to make sure they stay with their grown-ups. Their grown-up is probably ordering for them, whatever it is. And they don't really have much control in this situation, right? They're kind of just being pulled along, even if it's fun and they're enjoying it. Now they're in control. Now they are the cashier. Now they are the customer and they're getting to order, right? And this type of dynamic, it's also going to be a chance for children to practice, you know, practice these roles and practice these conversations in a way that feels a little bit more safe. It's on their level. Especially for children who may be a little bit more shy, right? Not the child who is going to go into Starbucks and be like, I want a cake pop, please. And I know for me, I was not that kid, right? So being able to practice this with my peers who I felt safe with and who there's really nothing at stake, right? Because we're just playing. You get to practice these things. And then when I'm ready, right? Then when you're ready later, you can take it into the real world. We also have writing skills. So we added just a notebook and a marker. Now they're writing receipts, right? Ripping them out and handing them to the customer. Or they're writing down orders for the barista. Now, again, they're 3. So are they actually writing words? No, right? They're scribbling. But again, they're using those fine motor skills for when they do start to write actual letters and numbers. And they're still making that connection. When I write something, it has meaning. This has meaning. It has impact. And they would treat it like that, right? They're not treating it like a scribble on a paper. They're treating it like this is a really important receipt.
Yes.
Yeah. Another fine motor skill. We had, you know, actual like disposable coffee cups. So they're getting to practice putting the lids on, taking them off. That's really hard for a 3-year-old. They're practicing those really, you know, tiny movements, building those hand muscles, which again is going to help them when they go a few years later and they're trying to sit at a desk and hold a pencil and learn to write. They need all of those muscles.
Mhm.
So I could go on and on. This is just one
No, I
example.
love it. I'm
um,
loving it. The coffee shop, I would have enjoyed it. I mean, 3-year-old me would have loved to play coffee shop. And then I would
mhm.
have no idea that I was learning so much. But
Yeah.
definitely. And then for when they were, they were playing and they were doing all of this learning, right? We that in that sense, when I think about you in school and playing and teaching them something, it makes sense in my head, right? You're their teacher, you find fun ways to have them, and to entertain them and teach them things. But as a mom, I always have this question, and as a mom, how do I stop to play? Like, I'm thinking, if they're playing at home in their, with themselves, or
Mhm.
maybe with the neighbors and friends, because I have things to do, or they're playing, they have their video games. Like, I take them to the park and they can play with the kids, but like, where, how do I put in play in with all of the other things that we need to do at the house that are so important? That was my biggest question before all of this. Like, how do I even play?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
like, do we have to? Right? Because like you
Mhm.
said, our
Mhm.
kids, well, they will play alone and they get to time to play with their siblings and with their friends. So why do we as the adults need to play with them? And
Mhm.
how do we do that? So that's what we're going to break
Yes.
down for you today and hopefully make it feel really easy, really applicable, and not feel like another thing on your to do list because we all have a to do list that is way too long already.
Mhm. Yeah. One of the things that I noticed with myself before all of this, and even still now, um, is when my week is busy and I feel the disconnection in the home. Like the kids, I'm all over the place, and they're just in the space, but the engagement is not there. I don't feel that connection. Now I know that is because I haven't taken time to play, but then it's so hard. You get to work, they have to go to school. At some point, I have to do dinner. It's hard to get from that space of all of these things, the to-do list, to I feel like play is a mindset, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I get to that mindset this week took for me? Like, I told my son the other day, I think it was yesterday, thank you for being so patient, because I know we haven't played and I promise him some playtime tomorrow. And he's gonna hold me onto it. But it's been one of those, times in life, because we have these seasons and these weeks. How do I stop and then get into that play mindset?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I think it is so easy, especially when we're in that really chaotic season, or like you said, even just one week that feels really busy. It is easy for play to feel like something else on your to do list and for you to just feel like, I don't have time for this.
Mhm.
Like, why
Mhm.
should I do that? This is more work, right? Sometimes play can feel like work as an adult, and it is about changing that mindset so that you can enjoy it. And there's a lot of different things that really give us that mindset of like, I can't play, I don't have time to play, I don't want to play. Um, One of those things is kind of just like the hustle culture that we're all a little
Mhm.
bit wrapped up in right now. Like, right, like
Yeah.
we need to be always doing something, and there's always more on the to do list, so I have to keep going. I can't stop going, going,
Yeah.
going, going, going. And there is always something to do, right?
Mhm.
It's true,
Mhm.
right? It's like it's not a lie. There is always something to do, but it's gonna be there tomorrow and the list is going to get longer again tomorrow, even if you do all the things on your list today, right? Um,
Honestly, sometimes there's nothing on the to-do list but just play. It's
yeah.
not calling my name,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm gonna be, very honest with the parents. Like, it's sometimes it's like, I just sat down with nothing to do. Do I really have to go play right now?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think one way to help change that mindset is actually playing as an adult, like playing by ourselves or with our friends, which
Mhm.
might sound a little weird because there's kind of this notion of like play is for children, right? Play is something that
Mhm.
kids do. When you grow up, you don't play anymore. You work, you take care of your kids. Like maybe if you're lucky, you go have drinks with your girlfriends every once in a while, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's not true. We get to play as adults and it can bring you so much joy and it can help you then transfer that to like, okay, now I can actually bring this spark into my parenting and I can play with my kid and it doesn't feel like work. And now we're both getting benefits out of it, not just my kid, right? I'm not just doing this so that my kid will benefit. I'm doing this so that our relationship together will benefit and we're both are going to feel like our cups are getting filled.
Mhm.
So, I mean, personally, play was something that I had to get back into as an adult. And it feels a little weird at first. Like it feels a little bit uncomfortable. And I like to think when things feel uncomfortable, like, hey, what am I learning here? How am I growing here? Right? Uncomfortable
Mhm.
doesn't mean stop. Uncomfortable is like, maybe let's keep going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not, painful or super terrible, but it's like a little weird. It's like, okay, well, let's keep doing this and see if it does feel better. And if you stick with it, it will. And so, as an adult, we don't have to have this like super long, oh, I have this completely free afternoon. I have hours and I'm going to play. It doesn't need to be that. You can play, it could be just 5 minutes. Anyone, I
Mhm.
don't care how busy you are, you can find 5 minutes of your day to make space for joy for you and for no one else. It's so important. And no one else is going to do that for you, right? You're an adult. No one is going to say, hey, honey, it's time for you to go play. I'm going to set a 5 minute timer. Go play. No one's going to tell you, right? You have to
Mhm.
choose that for yourself. Um, but it's thinking of like little things that you can do in little pockets of time that you can take back for yourself, and planning like, what are you going to do with it? For me, I love reading fiction books.
Mhm.
And so that's something I do just about every day. And it might only be for 10 minutes. I don't need to read, I don't even need to finish a whole chapter. Like, it's fine. If I need to stop in the middle of the chapter, that's okay. But at least if I've gotten to read a few pages and now I have this story that I'm enjoying and I'm getting to come back to every day, it's something really fun for me. Betty, do you have any ways that you like to play as an adult?
Well, I was the worst at play. I was the worst at play. I don't think I even played as a kid. That's one of the memories that I have for myself is that I had Barbies. I hated Barbies, but I had them just for decoration. And I had some really fancy ones, never used them. And then I
Mm-hmm.
will look at the kids in my class. I have memories pre-K of my friend playing with this other girl that was our friend at the time, and they were playing Barbies at school, and I'd be looking at them like, why are you guys playing Barbie? That is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult, I carry that. And it took me having to, okay, how am I gonna play with the kids? Right. And that's when I actually discover what you just mentioned, that if I find play for myself, things that I like and I enjoy doing little by little, then I'm more willing to try other things. Right now, I am in the search of things that I can use for playtime. I have here that I haven't opened, but you just reminded me. A tiny, it's you make miniature vases, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll show you a picture later, but a miniature vases, and it's with your hands, and they're tiny and they're for decoration. I want to do that. Um, to me, play, or what I identified, and if you look play up for adults, especially, is something that brings you joy, but you are not getting absolutely anything else from it. Just the
Yeah.
joy, that just that joy. It's not that I'm doing it to get money. I'm not doing it as, necessarily. I mean, some people like to compete, but I'm not doing it for an alternate motive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing it because it causes me to be happy. It makes me happy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking for other things, because I felt like every hobby that I will have before, then I will turn it into a business. So I've
Mhm.
been finding ways to waste my time, which sounds absolutely ridiculous to say, right? Because time is so valuable. But I
Mhm.
have found that after I do those things, I've been, for example, more active in my mom's group on Facebook, and we've gone out to I went one is coffee and leggings. We went another one out of the blue to have daiquiris for one night. That was so much fun, like just going out there and doing something. Me going even to the nails, I will go
Mhm.
like in a rush, and now I'm like, no, I'm gonna go for me. And then I go around, and let me go to Starbucks and sit there with my little coffee, like those
Yeah.
moments that I've been taking for myself, even though I can tell you I have found that one, and that might be my
Mhm.
ADHD, but that one thing, I've been finding the magic in the little moments that I just take a pause
Mhm.
and enjoy it for no other motivation than this is nice. This is
So
nice.
I'm hearing that the mindset shift is what has changed it for you, because I'm hearing it sounds like, going to the salon, getting your nails done, that's something that you've been doing for a long time, but it was just
Mhm.
recently that you were like, I'm not doing this because I just feel like I need my nails to look perfect and I want everyone else to
Mhm.
see like my new manicure, but I'm going and it's this time I get to relax and like have
Yes.
fun choosing your color and whatever, taking the time to go get a coffee. It's not like a rushed like I'm going to get my coffee in the morning because I need energy because this is a crazy day and I have to go get this. And no, it's like, so it's same
Mhm.
activity, but it's different mindset of like the reason that you're there.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that's true. It's probably that mindset of the pause. I think the
Hmm.
pause makes it a lot possible for us, and for from other parents like me that don't like to play. That's what I'm thinking in my head right now. Like if I would have started, or the way that you explain it makes so much sense, because right now I'm in the starting stages of enjoying play, and it's just maybe for me taking that pause to
Hmm.
be like, but we're here and this is nice, versus the I have to get out of here, how long are they gonna take,
Yeah.
to get this done, or this lady is, she's not going faster, like I will be normal else. Just that permission, like you said, and the mindset, and then giving myself permission to enjoy the moment.
Hmm.
That's probably what's starting this ripple effect of I want to do more. I want to do more
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like the phrase that you use of giving yourself permission.
Mhm.
And again, you're the only one who can give yourself permission, right? No one else is going to tell you to go take that. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
somebody, if you have like a really awesome partner who's like, hey, go play today. But I think that's
Yes.
likely not happening.
Yes, no, and I have to say, my husband does tell me like go out and do things. He
Hmm.
was the one who got me that little kid, because, but that's the thing, because I was vocal about it and I said it to him. I communicated to him. I am looking for ways to just do nothing, and I even encourage
Mm.
him too, because he has his PlayStation and he plays. And in my head, it makes sense that men play because men are gamers, and I know my brother plays, still plays, and my I think all my cousins get together and they play soccer online or basketball
Hmm.
online. And in my head it makes sense that they do that because boys and men, they do that. But it didn't make sense for me to do it. So even if he will encourage me to just go do something, I wasn't, it wasn't clicking with me, because it's like, okay, yeah, you can go and sit down and play your game. I will tell him like, stop whatever you're doing,
Hmm.
just go and sit down. But for me to
Yeah.
just sit down and play a game, that is not making sense. Even to this day, sometimes I have to catch myself. I play Minecraft with my son. That was the I was horrible at first. That was one of those games where we connected. All right, he liked to
Hmm.
play Minecraft. He wanted to teach me, and usually when we do playtime, we, many times we just go in and go to Minecraft. Um, and for me to sit down there and just play, and the hour will just go, I felt really guilty the first few times that I did that. And even thinking about it, I feel myself like agitated because
Mhm.
it did give me a lot of guilt. Um, but it was now I see why people like games. You know, you get in
Yeah.
there and in our games, for example, like you mentioned in your with your kids, the roles,
Yeah.
reversing. My son will be the parent in the game in the sense that he's the one that's keeping me alive. He gives, especially when I started and I was so bad,
Mhm.
he will make me my tools. He will make me a house, find me food. Like he was taking care of me in the game,
Yeah. And that's
and
so
I was there.
powerful for him to get the
Yes.
chance to do that for you.
And I noticed how kind he was because he could have just been competitive and go, and I'm
Mhm.
going here and they're going to kill you. And he was so nurturing to me that it
Oh.
made me see him right in a different way. But I was playing and still looking like at the time, like I've been playing 15 minutes
Yeah.
and I've been playing 30 minutes. It's hard for you to turn that off all of the sudden.
Mhm.
And but I think it is the fact that I see the difference in him when we are connected and we are able to play like that. Like he gets so happy, and when we get to play that's what keeps me coming back for it.
Yeah.
And every time that I come back, then I feel a little better in a sense.
So I'm hearing it's really a practice of play. It's not going to make it's maybe not won't feel like play the first time you do it, but it's that showing up again and again until it starts to feel more comfortable. And like you said in your experience, you did have your husband telling you like, "Hey, go relax," but you couldn't actually do it until you decided that for yourself. And I
Hmm.
think that's
Hmm.
it's an interesting point that you brought up that you're like, well, yeah, it makes sense for me that men go and play, but not me. Right. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of like that hustle culture sneaking in. And maybe, there could also be some resentment there for some people of like, well, everyone else gets to play, but I don't get to play because there's all these things to do. And like, but everyone else could also take that mindset too. Right. So it's really up to us to just decide, I'm going to play. Right. And
Yeah.
if the dishes don't get done today, they'll be in the sink tomorrow. Right. And if the,
Nobody
you
else
know,
is gonna do that.
like,
Trust me, they're gonna be there.
and it's fine. Like
Yeah.
they'll be there. If the load of laundry doesn't get folded, it'll be there tomorrow, right? But we won't always have that chance to stop and play. So we
Hmm.
have to take it when we can get it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm still figuring it out with my daughter because teenagers, like when you have the older ones, like with the little ones, it's a little
Mhm.
easier because they are wired to play and they want to play. So you
Yeah.
just have to be available and willing
Mhm.
to role play. I'm still finding ways with my daughter, like what are things that we can do for play. And I think now that I was listening you talk, it's about also giving myself permission to just be there with her in whatever activity she wants to do. It doesn't have to be super structured like with Diago, like we're gonna do this. But
Mhm.
yeah, and I think also I said like when I was listening you say that, it made me realize that yeah, it's also me giving her permission in a sense in my head of not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because in my head, like if you're not doing something as a woman, right, if I'm not doing something
Mhm.
in the house, then I'm not being productive. And if my daughter is just there not doing anything, she just want to hang out at Target, then me not putting that label on her of she's lazy and she never wants to do
Mm.
the things that she wants to do, like we both get to enjoy the moment. I feel like before, when I'm putting everything together with what you said, I feel like before when we would do the same activities like you mentioned, maybe it was more rush and it felt less like like play, because it felt more like I have to take you here, but you need to hurry
Mhm.
up because we both got things to do. It
Yeah.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't as we're just gonna go here and then here, hear you talk for an hour. with
Mm-hmm.
like nothing else to do. We're just, walking around with vibes, walking around with
Yeah.
vibes and enjoying the moment. And I've been like hitting in my head thinking that I haven't found a play, like something to play with her. And just talking to you, I'm realizing that those moments are play for us.
Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
really interesting that you bring up kind of those judgments sneaking in your head
Hmm.
of like, or those labels of like, well, if I'm not doing something, I'm lazy. And that means that
Hmm.
if my teenager isn't doing something, she's lazy. So
Hmm.
there's that like generational healing that's happening. That's when you give yourself that permission, you're now also freeing your daughter from that need to always be doing something. That's really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And it gives me that sense. I think the more that we've been doing this, with my son, I do different activities, and with her hours, that I take that time of, no matter what we're doing, this is time for them. So, they lead what they want to do. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the moment. Um that has put me in this position where I don't take everything so serious when it's happening. And it's a way of, I feel like they collaborate a lot more.
Yeah.
And in, a good way for me to explain it, like, if I've made the time, if I taken the time to just go out with my daughter this weekend and enjoy it, and we were having fun, and when she comes and talks to me, before I start with the judgment, or you have to do this and that, I take that few minutes to just be in the conversation and do this. After that, if I ask her to do the dishes, she will actually do the dishes without
Mm.
complaining. Like, I got this. Same with my son. If after we play, if I need him to do something, if I take some moments to do an activity or a play, or something a little more quirky, I
Mm-hmm.
get that side out. Then I feel like I get more collaboration. Like, it moves. The next thing that
Yeah.
I ask you to do, then they receive it differently.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's what I meant when I said before that I was speaking. I felt like I was speaking to them in a different language before,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I was, without knowing, I had the power in my hands to make them do what I want them to do,
Yeah.
just in a and with my by me changing my demeanor, my tone, and
Mm-hmm.
adding a little bit of playfulness to the thing, then things move better.
Yeah. And so now, I think there's a misconception in a lot of our heads of like, I don't have time for play.
Mhm.
And what I'm hearing you say is we're going to spend the time either way, but we could spend it playing for a half hour or 15 minutes, like whatever you have, right? Playing
Mhm.
for a little bit and then asking your kid, hey, can you go put the clothes in the dryer? And they say yes and they do it. Or we could start out saying, can you go put your clothes in the dryer? They ignore you. You ask 5 more times. They're ignoring you. They're saying no. They're saying, after this, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Finally, you're fed up. Now you're screaming at them. And now
Yeah.
they're finally going to do it. Right. And now there's like, we're adding punishments and now no one's happy. The clothes got in the dryer, took the same amount of time, but now everyone's cups are empty. No one feels good about this. We're probably having, guilt about screaming at our child. And now no one's happy.
When you put it like that,
Yeah.
exactly that. Exactly what you said, word by word. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's exactly what was happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and that's something that took my husband time to see. And
Mm.
this is to me was funny, because I will be yelling less and fight, being less bickering. "Ah, you have to do this, you have to do that," like less in their face about things.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought that I was becoming more lenient, more permissive. In his head,
Ah.
if you're not on the kids, then you're letting them run the show. So they're not doing it. And it will take me times for me to say, but did it get done? That was
Yeah.
always my question. But did it get done? Were the chores? Because he's like, but are the chores done? They are done. Is
Yeah.
this getting the? it is getting like you can't. The thing is that I will tell him, your head is not comprehending it because that's not the experience that you have. And for you, peace
Mm-hmm.
and quiet in the home is not equivalent to rules are being followed and things are getting done. To you, it's equivalent to everybody here is doing whatever they want.
Yeah. Just
And
because
it's
we
just those
haven't
moments. Yeah.
experienced this before in our own childhoods. So we're
Yes.
writing a completely new story here.
Definitely. And I think that noticing that things are still getting done, that the message is getting there, like because the
Mm-hmm.
message sometimes, most of the times, gets lost in the tone and in the way you say it. And you can, we can say it in many different ways, and get, but your message is getting lost. And now it's opening our eyes into, you know what, she did get what I said. You know
Yeah.
what, after we did this, like your head, allowing your head to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Now after I did this, they did this other thing, they did their chore without complaining, or they even helped me without me asking,
Yeah.
right? Because the mood was different, and taking a moment to actually acknowledge it, because that's one thing that will keep me blocked. I didn't see it. Maybe it had happened before.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there were times where I play where I was nicer and they were actually collaborating more, but I wasn't paying attention enough to repeat it.
Yeah. And
And it is like, yeah, it's
as
a
you
practice,
acknowledge
like I
it,
said. Yes.
yeah, and
Hmm.
you say that out loud, and you give that verbal praise to your kids of like, oh, thank you so much for helping this with me, like, now we have more time to play, or to do whatever,
Yes.
like it's going to start happening more and more.
I love that you said that, because that's something I always tell them. I always thank them for spending time
Mm-hmm.
with me. Because to me it's special, and that's the way that I'm showing them that to me this time is special. Is thank you for spending
Mm-hmm.
the afternoon with me. Thank you for playing that game with me. Thank you for teaching me how to place this thing. And it sounds silly maybe, but to them it's so special. Like
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, that's how they know that I love it. I love
Yeah,
spending that time. Yeah.
that's really special.
Yeah, and then
So
yeah, no, I'm sorry. When you are as a teacher,
mhm,
right? And then parents, you have the coaching, and but you have that background of the play. For people like me, like when a mom like me comes to you and
mhm.
tells you like, we get to this week and it's like there's no way. I believed everything else you said, but this is where you got me. how do you how do you get in there? How do we open those blocks?
Yeah, so I think we talked a lot about the like feeling too busy and feeling like this is only for kids. It's a play is not for adults. But I think the one piece we haven't really touched on yet is maybe we did a little bit, but really reflecting on our own experiences with play as a kid. And that was something that I dug deeper into as I went through the transformational parenting program. Because, like I said, I was really used to like setting up play scenarios and watching the kids play and be like, oh my gosh, look, they're learning this, like they're doing this. This is awesome. But I didn't want to get there in there with them. And when a kid would ask me to
Mhm.
play with them, I'm like, I just want to like stand here and breathe for a moment, right? While nothing crazy is happening. Like I don't feel like playing. And the biggest resistance for me would be, they always want you to play pretend, right? And to get into character. And for me to get into character, I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Like I feel like I'm now like have to be like this actress, and it felt like work to me, right? Back to
Mhm.
that thing of like play felt like work. Um, and I realized I didn't love to play pretend as a child either. I was the
Mm.
kid who, like, you were talking about the Barbies and everything, and I had Barbies and Polly Pockets, and I remember spending, probably like an hour, like getting all the dolls dressed and picking out the things and setting up the house and setting up the scenario. And then once everything like looked great I was like, okay, like I'm done, right? Like I don't,
Mhm.
And so even as a kid, I wasn't the one who wanted to like get out like a pretend voice and, and move the dolls around and play. Like I just wanted to like set it up and organize it. And so that's my kind of favorite way to play. Like that's just who I
Mhm.
am. So I realized I'm okay, how can I bring that into play when a kid is like, hey, come play with me? Right. So, when they're like, oh, I want you to come like I want you to come cook with me, right? We're gonna make a pie. And maybe instead of me being like getting in, some role and having some voice, I'm like, oh well, what ingredients do you need? And they're, oh, we need, I don't know, we need berries. And I'm like, okay, I'll collect some berries, right? And then I just go find some stuff on the ground, right?
Mhm.
And now I'm still participating with them in a way that doesn't quite feel so like labor intensive for me. But they
Mm.
still see that I'm participating, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. And as I started to do these little things, then getting into a role of a character did become a little more easy. It's still not my favorite way to engage with play, but I can do it without it feeling quite so like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And again, because I found those other ways to play just by myself as an adult, it allows me to bring some of that silliness in and just not be so serious all the time, right?
Mhm.
I think that's something that we really tap into our serious sides as adults, and if we can just tap back into that silly side, because I'm always someone who's been very silly at heart, but I definitely lost touch with that, and so it really does take having that reflection. Working with a coach who can help you see these things a little bit clearer, and then you're slowly able to work through them and then kind of bring it back to life.
Yeah. I love what you mentioned there, that what helped you go in there was like bringing yourself. Like at first, you were participating as yourself, not
Mm-hmm.
quite role playing, but getting into the game. And that was your starting point. Now you're able to like tolerate or enjoy a little bit more doing the more characters during the game. But your starting point was, let me just bring myself into
Mm-hmm.
participating in their game.
Yeah.
And I like that, because when I mentioned before, my opening was, let me do a pause and try to enjoy the moment. And I think that when we compare that, it's the common experience of, let's start wherever it feels doable and comfortable to you
Yeah.
to engage in that play.
Yeah.
And I think we mentioned it in another podcast about what it says, we go as fast as your slowest side of
Mm-hmm.
you, right, can go. Same thing with play. Like, how do I get a little bit of the action without it feeling like unbearable? Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this, because that's the thing with play, is so foreign to many of
Mm-hmm.
us, that when we try, our nervous system job is to reject it, because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel familiar, it doesn't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that little point of entrance that you can come in and start the practice, right? Like when you go to the
Yeah.
gym and you start with, let me do 5 minutes in the treadmill, same thing. Like, what is the slowest point that you
Yeah.
can come in? And that's where a parenting coach can come in and help,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
we are able to have this conversation with you and dig deep. What are the things for you that are keeping
Mm-hmm.
you from play? Where do you feel it in your body? What are you thinking? Like you mentioned, "Oh, I don't want to play." And I said, like, yeah, I have free time, but play is not what I want to do right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are those things that are going through your mind when the question of to play or not to play comes,
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
in? And
If
then we
you're
can help you identify it, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're listening to this and you're thinking this is like a bunch of baloney, like
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you might be thinking that like this is insane. I'm not going to play with my kids. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need another thing on my to do list. I don't want to play. Play feels, ugh, I just don't want to do it. A coach can help you. And like you said, Betty, as you start to find those tiny little like micro ways that you can start entering into play, you're also going to start noticing the changes in your child and how excited they get when you do step into their play, even just a little bit. And that's going to help move you forwards. And when you work with a coach, they're going to help you remember to pay attention and to start noticing those moments. Because, like you said, you were like, it might have been happening before, but I wasn't paying attention. And so a coach helps you really tune into that,
Mhm.
because when you pay attention, you can find those small little wins and then you build on them and build on them. And a coach provides that accountability because you're meeting every week or every other week, where you get to, keep going back and keep working on this goal. And so, that's how you build the growth. So if you're feeling like play is not fun, it is not something you want to do, but you're also recognizing that the relationship you have with your child is maybe not as deep as you wish it was. Or you're having a lot of those moments where I'm asking my child to do something, but they're just not doing it. They're ignoring me. They're telling me no, right? These things, it's feeling like a struggle every day. A coach can help you. And when we bring in that playfulness, we bring more joy, we bring more connection, and everyone is happier.
Yes, the whole household benefits from the joy of play,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And if they would like to work with you, Ellie, I know that we talk about a lot about play, and but you also we go through the other 12 weeks, and there's a lot of things that we have been tapping here and there. If they want to contact you, which are the parents that you feel are the ones that you are called out to help with this?
Yeah, so I love to work with families who have children who are in that preschool-ish age, that like 2 to 5, um, and even younger than 2, right? Because it starts there, and you can really start out your journey anytime you want. But that's my jam. As a preschool teacher, I really understand all of the milestones, the developmentally appropriate behaviors, all the things that are happening in that time. And I would love to help you show up as the parent that you've always dreamed of being, create that deep relationship that you've always been wanting with your child, because I believe it's possible. I believe in your potential as a parent, and I want to help you reach the fullest potential that you can. So if this sounds like work that you might be interested in, reach out to me. My website is elliechasecoaching.com. And my email is elliechasecoaching@gmail.com. It's ELLIECHASE coaching. And we can schedule a free 30-minute video call where, we can chat. I can get to know you. We can see if it's a good fit, answer any of your questions about parent coaching. And then hopefully from there, we can do the 12-week transformational parenting program.
Yes, and I'm so excited for those parents that go and run, and get with Ellie, because I know you bring so much to the table every time that we talk, and we come, do help me come to these realizations, right? As like when we're talking and coaching, and I know that you're gonna impact a lot of parents that are in that age where we are lost the most, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like this preschool age is the one that we want to do it all at the same time, because everybody's
Yeah.
telling us we need to bombard them, and we don't know where to turn for help, and we want to discover the parent that we want to be. We just don't know how to get there. So get in with Ellie. If you are past those years and now you are and you have the older kids, I will say preteens and
Mm-hmm.
teens, and don't feel that it's too late to have the connection, to have the collaboration that you're looking for, to have your lovey, clingy kids that they were when they little, and to still be able to put in there all of your values, all of your beliefs, and to really send them out into the world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like they're ready to get on into the world, it's not too late. That's where I come in. My name is Betty Artiaga. Coach Betty at yourparentingstory.com. I love to work with families that are in the preteen teen area where you really think that there's nothing else you can do but to wait till they're out of the house. You're just counting the days for them to be out because they're driving you crazy, and you don't feel like it's you're there to make that connection now if you didn't do the work when they were little. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. I started with a lot of power struggles with my then preteen, my now 15-year-old. And the change that I've seen in my household has been tremendous, like incredible. I sometimes I sit down and think about what it was 3 4 years ago versus now, and I'm shocked about, with the changes and the things that are happening now. And she didn't change a thing. I was the one who did the work. And I like to say that because when the teens are being difficult, the older ones are being difficult, we think that they need to make all of these changes. And I'm here to tell you that if you go inward and go through this work and really evaluate how is it that you're presenting yourself to them, and you're collaborating with them, then that's when the magic happens. When you're willing to play with your teens, however it is that they see play, you're gonna see a change. You're gonna see it happening, and it's definitely not too late. So if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram, your underscore parenting underscore story. Email, like mentioned, Coach Betty at yourparentingstory.com, and you can also go to yourparentingstory.com to do a curiosity call with me. 30 minutes, we'll talk about what's going on at home, what's the parent that you want to be, and I'll help you create that vision. You have it in your head, we'll put it out there and make a plan for it. And then also there you're going to be able to see some of Ellie's and mine other episodes, and you're able to also get some free tools that I have online. I have a Rewrite Your Parenting Story toolkit, and coming up this week, I'm going to have there our emotional reset toolkit, which is gonna be it's fantastic. I love it, and I can't wait for all of you to get your hands on it.
If you
Yes.
choose to work with Betty, you will not regret it. I feel really lucky that I got to witness her go through her transformation, especially with her teenager, and it was really, really cool to watch. It was so inspiring because, for me as a preschool teacher, I'm so excited to have my own kids, and I will say the teenage years have always scared me the most. I'm like, I'm ready to have young kids, but when they get teenagers, oh my gosh, like that is terrifying. And I feel so just like excited and inspired that I've gotten to see the way that Betty and her teenager have changed their relationship. And it just seems like it is so joyful, so full of love now, and just nothing like you would ever imagine. It's really amazing. And I've also gotten to sneak peek that emotional reset toolkit. That is also amazing. So go over there and get that.
Thank you. And I definitely want to thank everybody who stuck until the end. I love
Mm-hmm.
it. Let us know in your comments what other topics you want us to cover. We're here getting ideas. I know Ellie and me love to get together and do this podcast. So write in there what are the next topics you want us to talk about, and we'll start working on them.
Yep. And we'll be back soon. Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you, Ellie.